everybody, and welcome back. It's Erin Taylor, your dish diva from the Black Women's Health Imperative. And I'm joined again by Tiffany Phillips from the Wellness Coalition.
Hi,
How you
everybody.
doing? Hi. So
Hi.
we are in this episode of Snack and Chat, we are talking all about strawberries. So strawberries are a wonderful fruit, and we're going to tell you why. But first, Tiffany, what did you bring to share today?
Oh my goodness. Oh, it is so good. So I made strawberry frozen yogurt. I mean, the texture. So it's been sitting here for a while. So it's starting to melt, y'all, but it is so good. It is so good. So it has Greek yogurt in it, just plain
Mhm.
unsweetened Greek yogurt.
Okay.
The brand I used was Faye, but
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. And I choose Greek yogurt because of the protein content. It
Mhm.
helps us to stay satisfied a little bit longer. Um, and so then I used a pound of strawberries, so a cup of Greek yogurt, pound of
Oh, wow.
strawberries,
Lots of strawberries.
lots of strawberries, frozen
Oh, okay.
strawberries, um,
Even better.
and a little lemon juice and maple
Mhm.
syrup to
Mhm.
just. And I just crunched some pecans. I don't know. Is it pecans? Pecans.
Pecan. I know. I always
Depending
get
on where
it.
you're from.
Right. And people always make fun of me the way I say it because I guess I don't say it right.
What do you say?
I say pecans or pecans. I mean,
Yeah,
I think I say pecans.
I think that's what I say too. I don't know, but
I don't know now. I know.
I know that's like, do I say pecans or pecan? I don't know. It doesn't matter. So I just added those on there just to give it a little crunch. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's smooth, so you want to give it a little texture, but
Uh-huh.
it is so good. It's just like ice cream. And with it being spring and I'm here in the South,
Yeah.
it's like 81 degrees today. It's hot, hot, and it's humid. So I was like, I need
Yeah.
something that's going to cool me off instead of, and not to say anything is wrong with ice cream, but I could probably eat this every day, probably an ice cream cone every day.
Mhm.
Probably not so much. I wouldn't feel um, guilty
Right.
with this. It's like I'm adding
Yeah.
nutrients in
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's really good.
It looks good. I'm gonna have to try that big time. I know you could probably do it with any of those berries, huh? Like
Any of them. That's why I said
blueberries
next
or
time I'll do a mix or different ones.
yeah.
But it is
Mm.
so good. And the strawberries are, because it is a lot of strawberries, like that
Mhm.
strawberry flavor is very strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
Okay. Okay. I
Yeah.
like that. And I
And what
and what's great when you're comparing it to ice cream too, what's great about strawberries is that they're lower in sugar too. So like all those berries are pretty much low in the glycemic index. So they are a little bit lower in sugar, a lot lower in sugar than a lot of other fruits. And then that way it's not spiking the blood sugar as well.
right. And do strawberries, do they have a little bit of fiber too?
Fiber, which is going to help slow down the release of any sugars into your bloodstream. And they also have potassium.
Mm. Well, potassium is not just
Potassium.
bananas.
But yeah, don't always have to eat bananas to get potassium. They're in so many other things. The potassium is in so many other things. So
Good
always
to
important to
know.
eat a variety, no matter what.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it's about. So what do
Mm.
you have back there looking all tasty?
Well, so I made a little bit of a like a fruit dip. So I used some Greek yogurt as well.
Mm.
I blended it with a little bit of with some cream cheese.
Mm.
And so it just kind of gets this, you can see it's just this, it's a little thick, but not super thick.
Yeah.
But it's probably the consistency of like a thick ranch dressing that you might get. And I added some I chopped up some mint leaves and put it in there because I love mint and
Mm.
fruit together. Just one of my favorites. But and I I was just visiting my mom a couple weekends ago, and she when I was little, she made this. She found this recipe for a strawberry dip, which was like cream cheese, a block of cream cheese, and 2 jars of marshmallow fluff.
That sounds like something my husband makes.
Oh, I mean, and I'm just saying, it's really good. It's really,
Mhm.
really, really good.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you just can't eat that all the time.
You cannot. And what's in that marshmallow fluff? I mean,
A bunch of high fructose corn syrup. I mean, basically sugar. I mean, all
right.
it is basically sugar. So I mean, I was like, I gotta find something a little bit better.
Mhm.
So I did, and I do dairy free, a lot of dairy free stuff. So there's a brand called Kite Hill that does like an
Yeah.
almond milk based cream cheese.
Right. Yes.
So I did like 8 ounces of that. And then I added in maybe like a quarter cup of yogurt, the Greek yogurt. And it's actually
Okay.
the same brand. They have a Greek
Almond.
almond based milk or almond
Mm-hmm.
milk based yogurt. So
Mm-hmm.
again, you have the protein in there as
Oh.
well. You have that thickness
Mm-hmm.
also. And then I added some honey in there just to kind of sweeten it
That's
up a
what
bit.
mm-hmm.
And it's really good. Like
Now,
I was
did
like,
you have
okay,
to put it in a
I
blender?
could eat this. I could eat this all the time.
Why?
And it's because it's got that cream cheese gives it that richness.
This, yeah.
And I don't want to say like savory, but it almost takes it away from that sweet side, and then you just kind of balance it a
Mm-hmm.
little bit with actually vanilla extract is in there as well, and some honey. So that adds the sweetness to it. But it's not so terribly sweet. Like I hate dipping sweet fruits into something super, super sweet,
Sweet. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so this is like the perfect balance. So
Now, did you put it in a blender? Did you put everything in a blender? No, you just mixed it by hand.
no, I think the thing that you have to remember, like the cream cheese, you want to make sure that it's at room temperature.
Mm-hmm.
You could use like a whisk. You could whisk it with a fork or like a hand blender. You could
Okay.
do that. But I didn't need to. That almond cream cheese is a little softer than a regular cream cheese, but I let it sit out for a little bit so that it got extra soft and you're
Right.
able to blend. If you don't sit it out, if you try to do it from cold, it ends up getting these like little tiny
Clumps in it.
chunks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just weird. It's a weird texture. You don't want to do that. Mm-mm.
Now, do you eat the stems of your strawberries?
No.
Are they edible? Can you eat them?
That's a really good question because usually I would, if I'm eating them like this, I'm not going to eat the stems.
Yeah.
But I often wonder, I think when I throw them in smoothies, I don't take the stems off.
Mm.
But that's a really good question. I'll have to like look that up because I've always cut them off.
Yeah.
Unless I'm putting them in a smoothie and then I don't care. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Husband was doing this weird thing. Like he would go buy these strawberries now and he eats the whole thing. And he said something about the stem has more vitamin C than an orange or something like that. I was like, I don't know about that. but I'm like the leaves, the stem, he's just popping all in his mouth. I guess, with COVID and all these what do you call them? Infection.
Influenza. Yeah.
It's like trying to build your immunity and your immune system. So I don't know if that's just a thing people are saying, or if it's really true that the stem is where the vitamin C. Like,
right. What's the source?
Right.
That's what I've always
consider the source. That's what I'm like. I'm gonna ask Erin, does she eat her stems?
I don't eat them. No.
Yeah.
I don't. That's not enjoyable to me. If I have that leafy green in my mouth like that, like I said, if it's in the blender and you don't taste it, it's fine. But I'm not gonna eat it. No.
Right.
Well, I also made these because I couldn't decide what I wanted to bring today. So I made some chocolate covered strawberries. And this is one thing that me and my husband enjoy, like New Year's Eve. We'll do like a charcuterie board, with crackers and cheese and olives and grapes and some jellies and things like that. And then I also do chocolate covered strawberries and mandarin oranges and like sometimes pineapple. So that's kind of like our celebration, and we'll sit there with our champagne and just
nice
stuff that's going on, and enjoy
right.
that. And that's kind of like our dinner for the
night. Right. Yeah.
But I used I forgot to bring it over here. Let me grab these for you guys to see. But I used a brand called Lily's. So Lily's they have like chocolate chips. They have bars. So I will melt down some of these chips, and they've been on sale. So when they're on sale, I kind of like just grab some.
Yeah.
But I love it because they're sweetened with stevia. So you're not going to get that, and it's very simple ingredients in there. You're not going to get a whole lot of other stuff in there. But this is like the dark chocolate. That the other one is a semi-sweet chocolate. This one is the white chocolate. So it's great. And then, or you could just do like a bar.
Wow. Okay.
But either way, like I'll melt it down. You can just melt down the chocolate in the microwave. And then you just dip your strawberries in it. And then
Mm.
I sprinkled on some crushed pistachios for a
Oh.
little crunch texture, a little
And,
protein,
and
healthy fat.
color.
Yeah,
And color. I know you like your
and
green,
color.
so it
Yeah,
gets
you know, get my green in
apple
there.
green.
Since I'm not eating the stem, I've got to get my green some other way.
Right.
But and like one of the keys though to like kind of keeping like if you're doing that, you can add in like a tiny bit of oil to the chocolate.
Mm, okay.
Like I added avocado oil. Sometimes I'll add like a little bit of coconut oil, but that helps keep the chocolate from getting so hard. Like if you want a little bit of a softer chocolate,
Chocolate, gotcha.
yeah. So that's that you can add the oil in there, and that'll help soften it up a little bit. But yeah, these are great. I love
Oh, they look delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my husband's a little bit frugal, so I'm being nice. I won't call him cheap. He's frugal, so like I would always see the chocolate covered strawberries like during those holidays. You know, Valentine's Day they have them. They'll
Mm.
have them like in the grocery stores. They'll
If
have
you
it during New Year's, and he was just like, "No, we can make those ourselves." Okay, but he was right because it's like you're paying like $4 for one strawberry. I'm like,
right. And it's like I can get the whole 16 out paint of
yeah,
strawberries for that.
exactly.
Mhm.
So I do them every year, and so I figured, yeah, hey, might as well have some.
Yeah, and yours probably have the ones you make are probably going to have a better chocolate, like
Mm-hmm.
a more nutrient dense chocolate or yeah.
Yeah,
Because I'm
I'm not
sure
as high in
those,
sugar. The dark
yeah.
chocolate's gonna have more nutrients in it. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And
that's
they're
good.
very easy to eat. I mean, you just keep them in the refrigerator. You just have to make sure you eat them before the strawberries go bad. Because
Right.
the first thing you want to do is take a bite of a rotten strawberry underneath all that chocolate. So don't make too many at once, because I'm not telling you to eat them all at once.
Right. That doesn't mean eat all 12 of them. That just
Right,
means
right, right.
a few at a time.
Hmm.
Now, do you do the vinegar wash before you like with your strawberries to make them last longer?
I have not done that.
Mm.
I can't say I haven't done it. I used to do it. I used to do it a lot. I just have not done it recently. I think I'm like I'm always like, "Ugh, I'll just rinse them. I don't have time." Like
Yeah,
because we usually go through them pretty quickly,
that's good. Yeah.
so
Hmm.
I don't feel like it's necessary.
Necessary.
Yeah, and I feel like that just adds another step to something I have to do if I'm putting groceries away or and that sort of thing. So
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. That's a good point. Like if you're
Mhm.
gonna eat them fairly quick, it's not necessary. But for if you're not, like I like
Yeah,
to do it because and they do. It works. It does
yeah,
last a lot longer than they would without it.
yeah.
Or you could just not rinse them at all because I think once you wash them,
Mhm.
they start to oxidize or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important with all those berries because if they get wet, like yeah, you wash them as you're about to eat them. Because if they get wet beforehand, then they start to deteriorate.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
they'll
And
go
you
they'll
don't
go bad a lot faster.
right. And nobody want a soft, smushy
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
berry. Like
mm-mm. Especially those raspberries, like you can't get any moisture in those because they're like done.
done.
So when we get them, those are the one thing we're like, okay, make sure we eat most of these first.
Right. But another thing that I've started to do too, when I find that we're not eating them as fast, is throw them in the freezer. Like put them in a
Hmm.
freezer bag or something, and then
Hmm.
that way you can throw
Yeah.
them in a smoothie or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so that way they don't go bad.
Yeah. But I might start doing that vinegar wash thing too because if we do any strawberry picking, like we like to do the berry picking during the summer. So
Yes.
if we do strawberry picking, then I always end up with a ton. But I do end up freezing most of it anyways.
Hmm.
And during the summer, it's hard. I'm in Ohio, so during the winter time, it's hard for me to do smoothies because it's just too cold.
Too cold.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, I just don't want anything cold. I want everything to be hot. So now that it's starting to warm up a bit, it's like, okay, yeah, I can have something a little bit cooler. I can do
Hmm.
my smoothies again, but it really is a seasonal thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you know, it doesn't get that cold here. So sometimes in the winter, I still will do a smoothie, but then my
Yeah.
husband's like, because I'll turn on I have a space heater. And so I'll plug it in and sit right next to it and drink my smoothie. Is like, I'm like, but now I'm cold, so now I have to heat myself.
Right.
So he's a little frugal. He's like, you are running up the electricity bill. I was like, it'll be fine. It's just once a
Right.
week.
That's hilarious. Maybe our husband need to meet too.
Yes. Like just wasting money. I'm like,
Right. Well, I one really good benefit about strawberries too is that we talked about how they have potassium, but they're also have a decent amount of folate. So
oh,
like for, especially for people who are like wanting to get pregnant or are pregnant,
mhm.
these are a great thing to munch on, and snack on because you're getting those nutrients in there and you're not spiking your blood sugar, and you're helping your bowels move, like all of these things that need to happen when you're
Have it
pregnant, right?
right.
That can stop happening.
Right. Well, let me ask you this since you mentioned pregnancy, you know, this idea that we need to eat for two. So, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like I try to tell women like strawberries are going to be a little bit like fruit. When you
Yeah.
think about fruit, just because I'm pregnant doesn't mean now I can eat the honey, but like it gives me a free pass to now
Right.
just not care because I'm pregnant.
Mhm.
We still want to get those nutrients in, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really important to get those nutrients in. I think that's the thing you have to think about is I have to eat nutrients for 2.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good way to put
Yeah,
it.
'cause you're like building a person. You're like
Right.
creating you're like, I mean, piece by piece, it's like
Piece,
all these
cell
nutrients are
by
going in
cell.
there to help these cells divide, to
Mm,
help like
that's a good
form a finger or, the heart. And yeah, so those nutrients are really important.
important. I haven't
Mhm.
heard that. That needs to be on the t-shirt.
I
Nutrients for two.
nutrients for 2, not Oreos, not honey buns.
Nutrients.
Right.
We said it here for us. Trademark.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yes.
Mhm,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And strawberries, like they're right now, I think, well, more so as we get more into late spring, early summer, you'll start to see the prices go down too. So I
Yeah.
think because you made a point about the frozen strawberries. So if you're doing like a pound of strawberries, you might pay. Up here, I think they might have been like during the summer, they probably got up as high as like $5 for like
Wow.
the pint or the not the pint,
Mm-hmm.
the pound of them.
Uh-huh.
Whereas now they're about $3 range.
Mm.
So, you know what I mean? You see that price start to kind of go up and down depending on the seasons. And that's why I always think I like to think about like eating seasonally.
Yes.
I actually was just working on a spring produce guide because I was like, okay, well, this is the stuff that we need to be eating
Mm.
right now.
Yeah.
If you're looking, at having, save some money in your pocketbook, these are the things that will help you do that. Plus, you think about they don't have to travel as far.
Yeah.
You're not getting them from a different country. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're getting stuff that's probably grown, a few miles down the road or, maybe at least 100 miles away, not 500,000 miles.
Right. From a climate where, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Because
Mhm.
those frozen strawberries, they're at Aldi and it's like a pound and a half for
Yeah.
$3.35.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing now the apples are a lot higher because
Mhm.
probably it's a
More of the
fall
fall.
thing.
Mhm.
I was like,
Mhm.
why are apples so? I was like, yeah, they're out of season
Yeah.
and they'll go back down.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you see a lot of the berries on sale.
Mhm.
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 Oh, I can't wait to get my hands on the produce guide. Tell us what all we need to be looking for.
Well, I'm actually going to be posting it in the BWHI app. So I you try to do some healthy tips every now and then. So I'll post it tomorrow. So if you guys out there who are watching don't have the BWHI app, I suggest you go to your app store Just search BWHI and download the app, and then you can you'll be able to access all of this, like the snack and chat episodes and some previous ones. You'll also be able to see, any of the tips and stuff that I post on there. There are a lot of different communities on there. One of them is that I do a lot in is the healthy eating with Dish Diva. So if you join that community, you'll have access to a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, we like talking about food.
Oh, we do, because we like to eat. I know I like
to eat. We do, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, this has been a good talk. I mean, we could talk about strawberries all day. But just to kind of wrap things up here, I think it's important to know that, like, strawberries, like we talked about the fiber content, there's some really important nutrients in there with the folate, potassium, even vitamin C, really high in vitamin C, fiber. So these are all things that can help us when we're talking about preventing type 2 diabetes or any other chronic diseases, because they also have a lot of antioxidants. Strawberries, and along with all the other berries, tend to be lower in sugar, and they have a high antioxidant content, which helps protect things from our heart health. It helps with cancer prevention. It can help lower cholesterol. I mean, so there's just all of these benefits that are in there, and berries are so fun and colorful.
Yeah.
So they really will color your plate.
Yeah.
Add some in there.
Yeah.
Well, Tiffany, thank you for joining me. I will definitely be trying that.
Yes, you should. I mean, it is so good. Like, I didn't want to just be like on the camera, like it is so
cleaned your bowl.
I did. You have to try. I mean, it is really, really good.
Okay. Well, I will, because I'm an ice cream fiend, and like, especially now when it starts getting warm, like I need ice cream.
Yes.
So I will try that, and that will.
And I know you're gonna jazz it up a little bit more. So tell me what you do to it.
I would say my wheels were turning. Like, okay, what else can I put in there?
You're right.
I will keep you posted. Yes.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'll put some of that stuff in the BWHI app. So make sure you guys download it.
Come on over.
All right, Tiffany. Well, it's been a pleasure. And I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Okay. Look forward to it.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye. See you next time.